Hello, Mr. Palumu, is it?
Yeah!
Alright, well, no need to be so aggressive, so why do you think you should get to appear in Monster Hunter Rise?
Yeah!
Okay, alright, sir, this is not how you will get your way here, okay?
Yeah!
Sorry about him, you see, he's a bit of a blowhard. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to what I'd like to refer to as a celebration of the 5th generation of Monster Hunter. Yes, I've referred to a few things as celebrating recently, and I am celebrating a lot of things. Monster Hunter Rise is happening, and all of its awesomeness is right in front of us. So, in the spirit of the awesomeness of Rise and celebrating our most recent new monsters added to the roster, today it is time for a list, voted upon by you guys. Your list, yes! It is time for a dissection of the official community list of the top 5 5th generation monsters to return to Monster Hunter Rise. It's a bit of a mouthful today, I'm sorry. If you'd like to take part in the voting for next week's list, another Monster Hunter Rise based experience, then all you have to do is look down to the description of this video where you'll see a link to the poll itself, and if you do vote, then make sure to leave a comment under this video saying why you voted the way that you did, and you could even see yourself in next week's video. Getting into the core of the experience then, we'll be going over the list itself of the top 5 5th generation monsters to return to Monster Hunter Rise. As voted by you, followed by a little bit of graphical analysis on the experiment as a whole, so without further ado, let's begin with
Number 5 with 8.51% of the votes.
I say the whole world must learn of our peaceful ways. By force.
Dodo Gama.
Rise didn't show us any Elder Dragons yet, and the flagship isn't an Elder Dragon either, so I think they'll give more attention to lower tier monsters. Yeah, it's all just an excuse to say I want more Dodogama because they're cute.
And this comment is probably the most coherent of the Dodogama stan comments, with most of them just amounting to, Dodogama good, put in game! And while I don't disagree with you guys in the slightest, I feel like some of you just don't even know why you like him. You just like him. That said, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're all just Dodo connoisseurs who assume everyone else knows the same amount about Dodo's glory, and therefore, it does not need further elaboration to the masses. Dodogama would be great to see again, yeah, just because he is great in general, but I feel like his fight is what it is. I can see it changing to fit the style of the combat in Rise a bit, but I don't see it getting necessarily better. So while I can see why you guys want him to return, and I do too, I'd be happy to see him, I think he is a monster that doesn't gain much from the style of a new Monster Hunter game personally. So again, while I would be happy to see his face, I do think there are monsters who would be more interesting to see make a return in this game specifically.
Number 4 with 10.9% of the votes.
We mustn't lurk in doorways. It's rude. One might question your upbringing.
Namielle.
Honestly, I vote Namielle. Imagine our 5th general tentacle dragon on Monster Hunter Rise. She could fire water beams into the air while you use your wire bug to try to dodge around her or causing it to rain, and then sending thunder through the falling water to knock you out of the air. The one flaw would be lower graphics, though she would still be drop-dead gorgeous in Rise.
Those are some both very painful and very cool sounding ideas, honestly, especially the electric rain, and while I don't know about it being literally that level, I could definitely see large globs of electric water being flung upwards and coming down in a huge arc. That could be really cool with all the new verticality in the game, so that could be a very good call. In fact, my only disagreement with your entire comment is where you say that this will be a graphics downgrade. I think of it more like a graphics side grade. Sure, there are less literal pixels, but the style is incredibly different, and the color palette looks far more vivid than the new world had. So given how interesting the differences are between monsters in the old world and their super vivid Monster Hunter Stories counterparts, I can only imagine I would love to see a monster like Namielle realized in a far more colorful manner. I mean, imagine her lights in a game that says, fuck it, make everything bright. The game is going to be great. This game is going to be great. And if I see Namielle there, it'll only get better, at least in my opinion.
Number 3 with 12.06% of the votes.
Кто и как сюда попали? Я ежик. Я упал в реку.
Тогда садитесь ко мне на спину. Я отвезу вас на берег.
Nergigante.
Nergigante should become a staple erectile dysfunction. Most elder dragons rely on gimmicks, like fire, wind, or being the god of all monsters, but not Nergigante. Nergigante uses the power of muscle.
Okay, when I saw Nergi here at first, I was a little reluctant, but this convinced me a little bit. You're right, he pretty much is the only Elder Dragon that's an Elder Dragon because of pure strength and, well, regenerative ability, but he is offensively super strong without any sort of elements involved, which in some ways makes him almost more believable as a real creature, at least for people who struggle with suspension of disbelief, I guess. But he is extremely unique in this case, as the other physical-based Elder Dragons are all absolutely massive, which boosts their strength massively. So, Nergi does fill a very unique niche of Elder Dragon for sure.
Personally, I'd love to see Nergigante as an ambush. You're hunting some random Elder Dragon, and suddenly it's killed by something that's not you, and now surprise, you're fighting Nergi.
And this is the comment that got me.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
This image that you've put in my head sounds really cool, but honestly, what it does the most is make me wish that was how Nergigante worked in World. Like, imagine if he didn't have a quest of his own at all, but occasionally he would show up when you have an Elder Dragon at low health, steal your kill so you can't carve it, and then you have to fight him. The full fight from that point in the hunt where you're probably low on healing, you've been there for ages, you're worn out, he's there. You have to fight him. Like a random event spawn of a powerful dragon. That would be just a cool little mechanic, but of course, yeah, I know it would be annoying for anyone who just wanted to fight him repeatedly, but I think it would have been worth it for the coolness of the mechanic. Anyways, yeah, I'd love to see this Spiky Boy 4 rise, especially with the quality of turf wars it looks like we're going to have. He would make for some very cool higher tier turf wars for sure.
Number 2 with 21.14% of the votes.
Mattel Electronics presents
B-17 Bomber.
B-17 Bomber.
B-17 Bomber.
Basil Geese.
My vote went for Basilgus, because we already know that Basil show up in the old world, so it is entirely possible he will pop up again, and part of me misses my hunts being invaded.
And that was the exact point I was actually going to make now. I'll be honest with you, straight out of the gate, if this was my personal list of the 5 monsters I want to see, this would be my number 1. Basil Geese is my boy, my son! I miss him invading my quest dearly, and I would be absolutely ecstatic to see him fly over to Monster Hunter Rise. But one main point that supports the possibility of this happening is that one of the capture research NPCs in Astera actually has a dialogue line about how Basil Geese have been seen on a rare occasion in the old world. And, well, this seems like an incredibly specific line of dialogue to have if you don't plan on bringing him to the old world, right? The only question for me is whether it will be with Rise or the presumable Master Rank expansion to Rise. But he is one that I completely believe we will see again within this generation of Monster Hunter, and we should, too. Personality-wise, he was one of the greatest hits of Base World. The memes around him were always great, and no one can ever forget the first part of his theme, or the jokes about him just being in places because he wants to have friends. Man, I miss this guy. We don't talk about him enough anymore, and I think he was honestly one of my favorite 5th gen monsters in hindsight. So seriously, I hope he does make it back for Monster Hunter Rise. One last thing to leave you with though, if he did come back, and Seething also came back with his sticky purple bombs, imagine if they could stick to the wire bug that you have flung into the air. Picture a bomb attached to your insect that you are helplessly grappling towards at speed with momentum. Good luck.
Number 1 with 23.04% of the votes. Audogaron.
I voted for Audogaron because his fight is fun and high-paced and his moveset is full of acrobatic moves, which would be very fun to move around using this wire bug thing. Also, he's one of the monsters in the 5th general that do not fly, yet use verticality, wall jumps, etc. Final point is skeleton is the same as Toby and he's confirmed.
And this one I was uncertain about, but you mentioning his interactions with walls actually sold me on it completely. This would be fun to really dive into and make a staple of his fight when we have the wire bug and verticality that Rise will have to offer. Just make most of his moveset based on bouncing off of walls. It is also worth noting that he does have a basis in Japanese mythology, which is a plus to his likelihood of showing up, but then also the creature that he is based off of is the same one that Great Izuchi is based off of, so that overlap could be seen as a minus for the same thing. But I definitely think that he has a good shot, and I think he deserves this good shot too. He has a ton of personality and is one of the more unusual tier 2 monsters in the new world. He had a perfect home in the Rotten Vale and used an underutilized status against the hunter in Bleed, and these same extendable claws that allow him to make you bleed are also what makes him able to grip walls effectively, which is why putting him in Rise would be perfect, and building him further around the wall jumping mechanics would be perfect, because it all builds outward from his own biology and lore. It's logically supported by what he already is, and it would just make the fun fight even more fun with these mechanics. So, like you guys seem to believe, I too think that Audogaron would be an amazing monster to bring from the new world over to Rise.
I have been chosen. Farewell, my friends.
And that just about covers it for the list itself, everyone. Which means it's time for everyone's favorite part of this whole thing, the graphical analysis. Having a look at this whole thing, then, the first thing I want to draw a ton of attention to is that Juratotus was not last. Yes, you guys would rather give him a second chance than Yaku. Okay, I can see why you wouldn't want to be stunned endlessly. And then, of course, secondarily is the very aesthetically pleasing revelation that the top 5 of this voting list are just undeniably the top 5. Like, number 6 has less than half of the votes of number 5. The top 5 make up precisely 75.65% of the entire votes. And that is just incredibly unusual. Yet, I guess it also means that we just have a pretty strong agreement among the community about which 5 monsters should be coming back. So, Capcom, if you're watching this, that seems pretty clear-cut and dry to me. Yes, I just mashed 2 phrases together. Deal with it. Alright, everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and this has been your list of the official top 5 5th generation monsters to return in Monster Hunter Rise. Do you agree with the majority on this one? Which poor monster do you think got snubbed the most from this list? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or important news about the kingdom and Namielle. Rage, Cotton, and Hollow are all here, talking about the things you want to hear. So if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.